Sup shitters, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands aka SP Plays for an SP Talks. Welcome. Welcome to a bigger video. This isn't necessarily gaming related, although if you were to succeed in what I'm sort of going to be talking about today, you'd be able to buy video games. Potentially. I say potentially as I'm talking about Fiverr today. What it is, how you use it, and my experience with it throughout 2020. And I want to preface this by saying that this is not a video where I am going to be using it to sort of crap on the platform itself. I have no interest in that. This will be a balanced video where obviously it's not going to be sunshine and lollipops, but I want to talk about my experience with it. And just in case anyone from Fiverr is watching this, don't worry. Anything that I talk about today is not specifically an issue with the platform itself necessarily. It's more my interactions and my sort of getting used to how the actual platform works. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to here. And I'm going to set up my Fiverr profile. I'll be right back. This here is my Fiverr profile. You can see here that I have done 204 reviewed services, or I've done 204 orders. And this, despite saying January 2015, I actually have done the vast majority of this over the last 6 months. I did it briefly in 2015. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Now, in 2020, I started using Fiverr during May, and it's gone from being like, It's gone from being something that like I never thought I'd get any leverage to or any leeway with, to something that has actually helped me to pay my bills and has allowed me to invest more into sort of recording video equipment. Like, this is part of the reason why I can buy that. I bought a new CPU the other day. It's because I could afford it because of my work through Fiverr. And you might be wondering, well, what is Fiverr then? How are you working through Fiverr? What is an order? And basically the order is this. Basically here you can see that this is a gig I have called I will create a video review about your original music. And I've got like an example here where this is like a start of a review I did for someone for Westchester, someone I did a, you know what I mean? Like it's an example video. And then here is a pic of me from 2015. I was a lot younger then, not noticeably younger. I just had less bags under my eyes back then than I do now. Maybe I had the beauty filter on this filter. But anyways, yeah, so this here is my gig. And you can see I've got like, it says your title, it says you're a level 2 seller. And what this stuff is about basically is that, you know, if you do a certain amount of orders, you keep a high enough rating on your profile, you go up levels. So there's like where you start, then there's level 1, then there's level 2, and then there's a top seller where you have to basically, I think it's $20,000 USD in sales. And that's just, I mean, I make at the moment NZ $15. That's not USD. So I make about $8 USD per video, which doesn't sound like much, but that's $12 NZ, and it only takes me about 15 minutes to do a video, so I make about 48 bucks NZ an hour, which is not bad. That's close to what I make from doing music tuition. It's still quite low in comparison to a lot of other people who do video reviews and who do music lessons, but it's about quantity. There's no point in me charging more if I'm not going to be able to fill up those 40 hours. When I get to those 40 hours a week I want to work filled up, then I can start raising the prices. And that's kind of why because you might be wondering why it's called Fiverr. It's because Fiverr started when it started offering $5 gigs. And then eventually what Fiverr realized, I think, is that maybe people who like do stuff on Fiverr don't just want to charge $5. Maybe they want to charge $10 for something, or maybe like 15 or 20. And so they allow you to do that now. You can charge more for a gig. People often come to the website expecting $5. So that's why when I started out, I think I had a lot of interest because I was doing something for incredibly cheap and it was good quality. And then eventually I was able to raise it to $10 per order because of the fact that I just was doing too much work for too little money, really. I was offering a good that was I was underselling myself, so that's why I raised it to $10, and I have not dropped sales, so it was exactly what I needed to do. Would I raise it to $15 USD? I don't really need to at the moment. I'd rather keep this as a side hustle for now, but letting you know that the side hustle, I mean, even a couple of $100 a week, that's not much, but especially if you're stuck at home, you can't work, you go on Fiverr, you can potentially, if you're good at something and you can sort of market yourself semi-proficiently, there's a potential for you to make money from it. And that's what I'm doing here. So you can see here I've got 5 stars, so top rated, and there's a total of 172 reviews. So I've actually done a lot more than that. I work for some sort of independent labels who they don't rate my stuff. They say the order's complete, but they're repeat buyers. So I've done closer to around 200 and I've done a total of around 250 orders throughout my time on Fiverr, and I'd say about 210 of them would have been like these orders. So 172 is still a lot. It's a lot more than many of the people who I see as competition on Fiverr. I'm not saying I'm special, it's just that I've had a good run. And I mean, up until a week or two ago, I was actually unsure if I was going to continue on Fiverr, and we'll get to that a bit later on. But effectively, the crux of Fiverr is that you make a page, and then what you do is you sort of talk about it. You say about this gig, and then you have sort of your sort of metadata that you put in, like which platforms you support, which music genres you do, target country. There's a bit of a bug on Fiverr where they offer you an option to do worldwide and as a target country, so like that you just target everyone. And for whatever reason, the way I've got my sort of my gig set up, I realized that I was being too specific with what I was offering. But then the penalty for that is that you can't choose worldwide as an option. I've spoken to the support about that, and I think they've just said basically that it's just how it is, which is fine. It's that they're trying to. They literally say recommended that you are more specific about the type of music promotional thing you do. But for me personally, I'm happy that I'm happy with how I'm doing. And basically, without super targeting it, what's happened is that even though I've only put 5 countries in here, these are the countries I've had the most orders from, I actually ended up getting orders from all sorts of musicians anyways. So I don't really think the target country is necessarily that important. And then platform type, digital streaming platforms, just because if people want me to sort of do their music reviews, I just do it through Spotify or SoundCloud or these guys, and then channel social media platforms because I do put it through my YouTube. I've got another YouTube channel for my business, Spider Hands Productions, and I put some of the music review videos on there, and I'm also doing sort of a thing at the moment where I do reviews of New Zealand bands as well, like Kiwi bands. So that's kind of like a combination kind of thing. And that's basically my gig. And I guess another thing to sort of state is that you've got several options. You've got like create a video review of one song, 2 to 3 songs is $30, and 4 to 6 is $45.67. And so you can decide how many days you want to take to deliver, and how many revisions you want. I used to do everything in one day, but I realized that Fiverr actually rewards people who have more orders in their queue, because those gigs are seen as being busy. So therefore, you kind of want to have 2 days or 3 days for delivery for your extended options. And that way you can kind of stack them a little bit. It might seem like that's a little bit unethical, but in reality, it's just smart, and people are still getting their review within 3 days. That's incredibly quickly. And I don't screw around with my reviews. I put my heart and soul into every single one of the ones I put out. I've had people sort of message me saying I should be working for like proper music journalists, like labels and stuff like that, doing this kind of stuff. So if you're watching this and wanting a music review, feel free to go into Fiverr and check this bad boy out. I might leave a link in the description, but I also don't want to really sell. This isn't meant to sell myself as a music reviewer. This is meant to be a guide about how Fiverr works. And I would say, just in short, that I'm still in the minor leagues. There are people that have thousands and thousands of orders, that are top sellers, and they're just acing it. They're doing a lot better than me, and they run companies off of this. And that might sound crazy to you, but for people who just, this is the only way they can really get access to an audience like this, they have to. They have to run their company through Fiverr. And while I don't necessarily agree with Fiverr taking 20% of all earnings, so like, this is the thing. Remember how I said that off a $10 order, I get 8? It's because Fiverr takes 20% of all the money you earn. They're just raking it in. Like, let's be real. Fiverr are just raking it in. But that's just the way it is at the moment. I won't go any further on that front. It's just the rules of the game, and you just got to respect it. And, you've got your profile here. It says Spiderhands PNZ, 5-star music lover, rated music lover on Fiverr. And see, I've got 204 reviews. That's because I had another gig that I was doing, but I'm not really feeling that one anymore. And it's far easier for me to get downrated on that because it's a subjective thing. I used to write guitar riffs for people and sort of sell them to it, but it's too subjective. It's too risky. And you do get penalized if you get a negative review, to the point where it's put me off really taking risks outside of this one. Like, I don't trust Fiverr to keep my metadata, my ranking in the SEO sort of like at a stage where it will, how do I say this? Because it's how their system works. If you get negative reviews, you go further down in search listings, because the way that people find your gig in Fiverr is they search for gigs related like to yours. And if you get a negative review, you get put down. I don't trust myself enough or Fiverr enough to not completely skewer my gigs if I get a negative review on my profile. And again, that's not me crapping on Fiverr. That is just my experience with the service. I may be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll totally own that. If someone can let me know if I'm wrong about that, that's fine. But yeah, basically that's it. You can see the options down here, and there's also an FAQ section where there's like a YouTube playlist, and you can go to the website, the YouTube page that I've set up, and it like loads up all these are obviously a small amount of them, but it's just so people have examples so they don't go into it blind. And then how much would it cost to review more than 6 songs? Because I like literally yesterday I reviewed an entire 14-track album. That took an hour. But the guy was super stoked. And it's also a really good way to sort of, it's that a little bit of extra kind of a bit of X factor, you know, like you're putting a little bit extra in. You really want to make sure that every gig is order a special, of course, but like I want to show people that I really love their music, and that's why I encourage people, if they are wondering about whether or not I can do that, I'm like, hell yeah, I'll listen to your whole album. Give it to me, man. So it's all chill. And you can see there that like I've gotten like 5 stars, 4 stars, and 3 stars. I think the 3-star was like in 2015, and you couldn't actually write about the experience. There was just a preset because it was very, 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 very primitive back then. Fiverr was very primitive. And then, there was some like 4 and 4.3s. This was 4 years ago, and I responded well to that. And then, of course, I had a 4 here. It's a bit weird with the rating system. Great quality video. My review is really nice and detailed, but you gave a 4. So if you start with Fiverr, you're going to get stuff like that. They're going to give you a positive review and then not give you a 5. And I think it's because people who like are ordering gigs aren't aware of the fact that if you don't give them a 5, like if you're happy with someone's gig on Fiverr, give them a 5, because a 4 is like, it's brutal. And this is not to put pressure on anyone who orders my gigs. It's just the reality is that my understanding is that Fiverr does like slow down you lower your ranking depending on the rating you give a seller. For obvious reasons, they want the highest rated sellers on top. So if you give people a 4 or a 3, or like you go into the negatives like a 2 or a 1, be objective. If it's like an incredibly crappy gig, I get it. Go for it. Give them a 2 or a 1. But if you're happy with someone, don't go for a 4. Go for a 5, please. Just do that. If you're happy, if you're not happy, here's what you do. If you're at a 4 and you want it to be a 5 and there's a revision, ask for a revision. Because then if we can fix it so that it's at a 5, then we'll do it. You know what I mean? And this is stuff like that I don't know if I'm able to say it. Like we can't talk to people about ratings. Like, because of course we can't. Because we don't, as sellers, we don't want to seem like we're trying to influence what the rating that they give us. Even though literally the rating that they give us is dependent on how we do the gig. It's just one of those things. But outside of it, yeah, if you like a gig, give us a 5. If you want us to improve something or change something, that would mean we could get a 5. Let us know, because our job is to make what you are buying for us, and it's to make you happy. That's customer service, right? Anyways, let's be a second. So like here we can see that we have a biased perspective. I will be honest with you about a few things here, because a few weeks ago, what happened was that I was basically shitting myself because I played around with the metadata in my gig, and I don't really feel like, I think that's an adventure you need to take on your own. Like if you want to set up a Fiverr account, there is so many different options for setting up your gig. I think you just need to play around with that on your own to figure it out. But I played around with the settings in my description, and I broke my gig. And basically what happened was nobody was seeing what I was doing, and I was getting like 10 to 12 views a day. And I got no orders, apart from like customers like the labels I worked for, or repeat customers who are pretty dope. And I appreciate you guys. People like Trill Cut, people like Westchester, Kilo House, Out of Your Skull. Out of Your Skull. A shout out to Out of Your Skull, because he reminded me to make this video. Really appreciate that. These guys here are the big boys. Recently viewed them more. They're you can see here, right? Top rated seller. 1K plus reviews starting at 8. There is no way I would even want to sort of try and I don't want to compete at that. Because he could do 20 hours of work a week, and I could do 20 hours of work a week, and I'd be earning twice as much. I could do 10 hours of work a week, and he could do 20, and I'd be earning just as much. So it's more efficient for me. As long as I'm getting half the amount of orders that he is, we're just as successful in my eyes. But like we've got Music on a German Music Magazine. I will review and promote your music, playing it on Music Singer. I will critique and I was worried about this one. I was genuinely worried about this one, because she was doing incredibly well. And she is still doing incredibly well. This is what kind of gets you, is you start thinking, crap, because you see how like at one stage, what was happening is that she had like 4 reviews on her gig, and she was coming up, and I wasn't getting any reviews. And I see all these other people that have got orders in their queues, and I was like, okay, what do I need to do it? And then you realize that I have literally no idea how to sell myself on Fiverr. You know, even though I have done well, it's by accident. To a certain extent, the work I've done has obviously been good. But like dudes and dudettes, I have no idea what the hell I am doing on this platform, because like there's like promoted gigs which I turned on, and I got like just as many views. I guess it's because there's not enough competition in my bracket for me to need to promote my gig that way, like to pay to promote. Yeah, there are times, and apparently according to people on Fiverr, where even if your gig is doing well, you're suddenly, because there'll be like an algorithm change or something like that, you will just get no orders. And that is just because they're shifting stuff around. They might put more of an importance on one sort of attribute over another. And so you'll just, even though you'll be there, people might not necessarily see you, or if they do see you, it might not be for the right reasons. And it can be tough. Because you think, hey, I've been earning a couple of $100 a week now. And then suddenly you're like, oh, I was banking on that couple of $100 a week. And like you've been saving, but still it sucks because you have a couple of $100 less. And that's like rent for me. I was making rent from Fiverr alone. And that's something that was fucking cool. But it stopped happening. And I saw these other people getting reviews. And it was brutal. And like these guys here are basically these guys are who I like to keep up with. Planet Singer. These guys have 163 reviews. I literally the same price, 1 picture, 1 video, unlimited links to your social media and sites, 5 days delivery for $3. Look at the amount they're offering for like $15. And I was feeling really, really insecure. I was like, they're offering so much more than me. How the hell am I going to be able to keep up with that? And then I realized that I actually caught up to them in orders a while back. Like I remember they were like sort of 70 or 80 when I was at 20, and now I'm at 172 or something, and now at 163. there's mind games that go on when you're selling on Fiverr. And I think honestly the best thing you can do after you set up your gig, after you fill up all the stuff you need to do, you just need to stay the hell off Fiverr. You need to stay away from it, because if you pay too much attention to your competition, you got to remember as well that, again, aside from doing your description, you don't really have a lot of control over the platform itself. I don't even have proof that the promoted gigs work. It might be different depending on like the section that you're aiming towards, but at the same time, like if Fiverr didn't have promoted gigs working for music promotion, then why was it allowing me to do it? Why wouldn't it say that it wasn't applicable? You know what I mean? It's stuff like this. But I guess, sorry, I've gone on a tangent. You can like search music review here, and I don't know if I'm going to turn up. Oh, I'm right up the top. That's awesome. I didn't know that. So that's probably why I've been getting a bit more love lately. Usually I'm down like here. But actually I'm up here with the big boys. And that's awesome. That's really awesome. I think so you can like search by category, music promotion, service options. You got seller details. So you go level 2. There's no top rated sellers. Level 2. I am up the top, mofos. I'm up the top. Number one. Sorry, I'm getting a bit of a... It's such a rush. Because the thing is that when you do well on Fiverr, it's like you're doing well. And it's a system that you don't know how to use, because effectively it's like you're gambling. You don't know... You know that you're successful on the platform, but you don't know why. And it's a rush anyways. And you can see your budget, delivery time. Is my express? It is, because I do have an express option. That's awesome. That's fantastic. And so then you've just got sort of relevance. My rankings have gone up a fair bit. That's awesome. I used to be down here constantly, but I think, again, it's because I'm stacking my orders. If you stack your orders and sort of do 2 and 3 day gigs, it works in your favor so well. The one last thing I will discuss, I guess, that can help you is to... Actually, 2 things. 1, have a video. Have a video that shows what you do so that they don't even need to wonder. I have that video there. Nobody needs to read my description. They literally see me reviewing the song in real time. And this is why I think I've had people coming to my gig who have never been on the platform before. Because they come on, they're like, oh, that's what I want. And then they take it, and then they get paid for it, and then they want to come back. And that's not me being up myself. That's legitimately just the experience I have and the feedback I have. And you guys watching this who want to work on Fiverr can have this too. I mean, mind you may also have the situation where you screw your own position in the search algorithm by messing with your metadata. But just, if you set up a gig, do it once, do it properly, and after you do it, just leave it for a month. Hopefully you're not relying on Fiverr as your sole income when you start up. Should always be a side hustle when you're starting up, because you have no certainty. There's so much competition. You have no certainty about the fact that you're going to make any gains. But when you're starting, like just set it up and just leave it, because Fiverr needs time to figure out what you've done and to review what you've put onto the website. It just needs to sort of figure out where you sit. And if you leave Fiverr for a few days, you'll start getting views. But if you keep messing with your listings and stuff like that, it'll keep not really showing you as much as you might want to, because it's having to review you all the time. And that's the mistake I was making when I was wanting to quit, because I didn't realize that I just needed to leave it the hell alone. Part of me was very anxious because I knew I'd done something different to how I had it originally. I couldn't remember what that was. And once I figured out how to fix it, I left it, and now things are okay again. And I mean, effectively, that is my review of Fiverr. Fiverr is a really good website, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the vast majority of the interactions I've had. I have had some, like, occasionally, and I will not talk about names because I think that I've spoken to Fiverr about it. Let's put it that way. But basically, I've had some interactions where people have literally stalked me down to my hometown online. They have tried to find out where I live, and they have been like, "That's a nice town you live in," as if to say, "Yeah, you didn't give me the review I wanted, so I'm keeping an eye on you." And they threatened lawsuits and all this kind of garbage. It was a crazy time. I have evidence of that, but I'm not going to show it in this video because it's not That is not Fiverr's fault. That was the entitlement of a client where I gave a review where, and this is important, I didn't really like it, because you need to be authentic on this platform. If you are fake on Fiverr, if you do not offer a balanced perspective, you are no different than the majority of the people who are desperate for cash, who start out on Fiverr. Not the people here, like the people who have all these higher rated reviews and stuff like that. They know how to deliver their stuff in a way that's balanced and fair. They're genuine. I mean, the people who you've probably heard people saying they can just be fake about the way they talk to people about their music. It's see-through, right? I just need to sort of be real about that for a moment. Don't be fake about your music. I can see my camera battery running out of power, so I'm going to switch over to it now. The last thing before we finish, because I am running out of power, is if you're going to start on Fiverr, do something original or something that is unique. Be very simple about it, because I just do music video reviews. That's it. If you overcomplicate what your offering is, it'll confuse the customer and you'll lose them. But that is basically my video on Fiverr. I want to see if I can edit it into something watchable. Stay cool, stay safe. Thank you very much for checking this out, Shredders. I'll be back soon when my CPU comes and I can upgrade my PC, alright? Love you all. See you later. Spider Hands out.